One of the places on my list one day turned out to be an abandoned little church. I had to park on a dirt road and get out of my car to walk. It was about a 10-minute walk. I'd always wear jeans and boots so that I'd travel faster through the woods without hurting myself. I started noticing old, rustic garbage cans and other junk scattered in the woods, indicating I must have been close. And then I saw the clearing in the distance approaching, along with the structure. And there it was, some dilapidated old church sitting in a random clearing in the woods. It had an old well right in front of the building. I walked over to it to see if it had been sealed, but surprisingly, it hadn't been. I looked down, and it was so deep that it was pitch black down there. When I stopped and listened, though, I heard something down there. It was a faint clicking sound. It happens like on a rhythm. One click after 2 seconds. It didn't sound like water droplets. The best I could describe it as a stick being tapped on a stone wall. Curious, I stared down for longer than I probably should have, kind of like I was hypnotized by the sound. But eventually, I broke out of my daze and decided to go inside the church. I stepped onto the creaking wood porch, and the rotted boards gave slightly under my weight. The large double doors were ajar, not surprising. Out of all the abandoned structures I'd visited, unless it was a very well-known one posted frequently in subreddits, there wouldn't really be anyone boarding these places up. But eventually, I broke out of my daze and decided to go inside the church. I stepped onto the creaking wood porch, and the rotted boards gave slightly under my weight. The large double doors were ajar, not surprising. Out of all the abandoned structures I'd visited, unless it was a very well-known one posted frequently in subreddits, there wouldn't really be anyone boarding these places up. I pushed one door open further, which led to a loud groan that echoed through the trees. The air inside was thick with dust and the scent of old wood. Light poured through the shattered stained glass windows. Some of the pews were overturned or missing entirely. The pulpit stood crooked at the front, and behind it, an arched doorway led further into darkness. I did the usual, scanned the inside with my flashlight, and took a few pictures from my archive on my digital camera. There was an eerie beauty to the decay, a holy place like a church near ruin. It was beautiful but tragic. I walked slowly toward the back of the church where the arched doorway was. I stepped through it and found a narrow hallway that led to what looked like old storage rooms. One door was missing entirely, and the others were splintered or hanging off their hinges. Cobwebs clung to the ceiling everywhere, and then I saw at the end of the hallway a stairway leading down into the basement. Jackpot, I thought. Like I said, I used to not let anything scare me. Nothing within reason, at least. Something about exploring abandoned basements excited me, but this time, something about that basement door hanging open leading to the darkness below made me pause. I honest to God got a slight chill, but I kept going. I started down the stairs slowly, and each step creaked so loud that I feared I'd fall through the wood, and then I counted 7 steps until my right foot landed on one that gave way with a loud crack. Before I could react, it collapsed under me. I fell hard and landed in a pile of junk and dirt below the stairs. I fell directly on my ass and hurt my tailbone. I let out some kind of audible complaint, probably a "God damn it" or something. My flashlight flew out of my hands, so I crawled over to grab it. That was when I heard a voice. It was a higher-pitched sounding voice, either a woman or a young boy. It was saying words, but I couldn't understand any of them, except for one thing: they said hello. The rest was gibberish, like someone trying to talk but didn't know how. I stood up and pointed the flashlight around. It was just an old basement, some busted furniture, mostly cots, a dirt floor, stone walls, but then I saw a tunnel in the wall. It looked like it was dug out by hand. As I approached it, I realized the voice was coming from down there. I started walking toward it. I was being dumb, but I had to know what it was. I stepped just a couple of steps inside the tunnel and looked around. The walls were rough, not smooth. It had definitely been dug out with a shovel by hand. My flashlight started flickering, and I nearly had a heart attack. I hit it a few times, and it stayed on. Doing so made a louder noise than I anticipated, though. The voice got louder, still just gibberish with that same weird tone, but I could now confirm it was coming from deeper inside this tunnel. And then it stopped. Everything was quiet for a few seconds. Then I heard a click. 2 seconds later, another click. Same rhythm and sound as the well, and the sound echoed. These clicks and the gibberish echoing voice were getting louder. My heart was now in my throat, so I turned and ran back. I reached the stairs and remembered one of the steps was broken. I found it easier to grab the sides of the stairs and pull myself up, instead of trying to hop over the broken step. My flashlight dropped, but it didn't matter. I was leaving the basement back to the light of the upstairs. I got to the top and didn't look back. I ran through the hallway, through the main room, and out the front doors. I ran past the well and stopped for a second. The clicking sound was gone. There was no noise at all. Come to think of it, it was dead silence. I didn't even hear any birds. I looked down the well one more time, still pitch blackness. With that, I turned and ran through the woods, making it to my car much faster than I made it to the church, albeit completely out of breath. I cut the day short and didn't explore the other places on my list. This was just one of those experiences where you don't know what to think, and you just drive home in silence with the music off. I didn't give up my hobby of exploring entirely, but I took a break. I was admittedly very spooked. I hope it was just some other kids exploring in there trying to mess with people, but I don't know. When I think about it, that sounds really unlikely.